Hello and welcome to the Recursion Cafe, where we play games from the discard pile. In today's game of Unmatched, we have Sunzida on the left playing against Dan on the right. Sunzida's playing Moon Knight, one of my favourite characters, who has 3 different personalities and he swaps between them every round. Moon Knight is able to move at the start of his turn up to 2 spaces before he manoeuvres. Then we have Khonshu, who is immune to effect damage and adds +2 to his attack card, this is very strong. And lastly we have Mr. Knight, who adds +1 to all his defense values, with 16 health and 3 move. On the right we have Little Red, who aims to play cards that combo with whatever is in her basket, which is the top card of her discard pile. It's one of 3 icons and she juggles effects through that. She's very cool, 14 health with 2 move and a ranged sidekick in the Huntsman. So far we have 2 double maneuvers, and then Dan double maneuvers again and discards 2 cards, discarding a What's That in My Basket last so that he is able to play any effect that he wishes. Khonshu boosts in and goes for the Huntsman with the battlefield effect. So there's a 5+2 is a 7, I'm not real, into a Stones in the Belly. Dan discards a random card and it turns out to be a 3 boost, which is an amazing card for Moon Knight, so that's a good pull, resulting in 2 damage for the Huntsman. They're going and swinging these guys, it was a 7 to a 5, I believe. So now Dan maneuvers, and is he going to try and dance the Huntsman away to protect him? He will, but he will stay in the game, in the fight, and Huntsman will attack from range with Long Have I Sought You. It's interesting that he didn't swing with that first, but maybe he only just drew it. So Sunzida with the Mr. Knight defense does win the combat, allowing her to look at the top 3 cards of Dan's deck and discard 1, discarding the What's That in My Basket, and returning the top 2 in any order back to the deck. So Mr. Knight steps in. Bearing in mind he's going to be Moon Knight soon, so it's a little bit risky, but that's the part I like, into a Once Upon a Time. So Sunzida does deal 1 damage through to the Huntsman, however, Once Upon a Time deals 3 effect damage back to Mr. Knight. Dan timing it well around Khonshu. And Sunzida then discards the Stones in the Belly, a very annoying card, kind of like an ambush, but versatile. So now we have Dan moving up with Little Red, tagging in his other fighter, and there's an attack from Little Red. This could be any number of things. There's a flower in the discard part, so it could be the cancel, but instead it is, what big is you have? Just a 4 attack, not playing on the effect, to a good enough for us, which gives Moon Knight the option to draw 2 cards at the cost of 2 damage, which Sunzida declines. So Moon Knight takes his early turn move and swings at the Huntsman. I'm not real, allowing him to change identity to Khonshu and allowing Sunzida to swing again with the +2. Dan draws 2 cards from the Wolfskin. Lots of aggression here from Sunzida. Huntsman's still on 4 health and is That's Why I Always Win into a Stones in the Belly. Unfortunately the defender resolves first, so Sunzida is not able to boost that and loses her only card in hand, which was a feint. Huntsman is left on 1 health, but is still alive, and Moon Knight is out of cards, so just completely shields down and becomes Mr. Knight, who can unfortunately not benefit from that ability if he plays no cards. Dan swings in with a full powered Long Have I Sought You, so that's a 6 damage swing from the Huntsman. And I think at this point Dan is deciding whether or not to really push damage in or to back off and pick up more cards in hand. It's a pretty interesting decision, but I think Dan pushes damage and there's a Once Upon a Time for another 5 damage from the Huntsman there. So now Mr. Knight, 0 cards in hand, is probably going to run off. I think after some discussion and debate, Sunzida decides to use the secret documents on the map, discarding her hand of 1 card and drawing up 3, which for value was probably the best option there. But Moon Knight is left only on 2 health against a full health Little Red, so I don't know if that bodes particularly well. And at this point Dan boosts with a What's That in My Basket for a versatile icon in the basket, and finishes Moon Knight off with Never Leave the Path, dealing 2 automatic damage to Moon Knight. And that's the game. Another quick one between Sunzida and Dan. 2 really strong fighters there with lots of effects. Play and effect damage and kind of constantly juggling between those. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see more from them next time. If you want to support the channel, consider buying a coffee at the Recursion Cafe. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.